Mwanamberi KSG we. Mwanamberi KSG we. Mwanamberi.
Thank you.
Usachame kuti ndini ninewe ndicha kutungamira. Usachame usachame tungamira mira oh mira tungamira mira mira usachame usachame tungamira mira oh mira tungamira mira mira Gararesa tunamira amira amira tunamira amira amira Larissa oh Larissa tunamira amira amira tunamira mira amira Wakenya wote tegeni masikio, kunalo jambo lazima tukumbushane. Uhuru wetu tunaosherehekea ulipatikana kwa juhudi za wazalendo wa kale. Yetu Kenya yetu, oh, tujitahidi usiku na mchana, mashambani na hata viwandani. Ajenda zote lazima kuzitimiza, na uchumi wetu upate kuimarika zaidi. Huduma kwaya yeti, tushangilie Kenya combine daima na milele. Mzalendo hapendi ukabila, mzalendo hapendi ufisadi, mzalendo hafanyi ugaidi, hujitolea kuilinda nchi yetu ya Kenya yetu, Kenya yetu. Oh, Wakenya wote tushikane mkono, umoja wetu uzidi kuimarika. Twajivunia Kenya taifa letu, na urithi wetu makao ya milele daima yetu. Daima na milele. Peperusha mkono juu. KICC kindly service. KICC service. Oh yeah. Tushangilie Kenyatta watu wote. Umekula kamba. Sound check. Sound engineer, tafadhali mpatie mwalimu the correct pitch. Hiyo sauti unaitoa si yake. Just sound check your mic. Sound check your mic. And I request KICC, someone for service, kindly let us tighten up the high table for the next session. We have half empty or half full bottles of water. KICC, kindly. We'll be joined by our presenter, the moderator, and the discussants in a moment from now. And that's the reason I brought the choir on stage for all of us to be upstanding. Kindly just be upstanding. Be upstanding. If you have legs. If you don't have legs, don't stand. If you have legs, you stand. If you don't have legs, don't stand. Choir kindly.
Tuishangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda.
Shake what your mama gave you. Don't just stand like a stick or a tree.
Twajivunia sana tukijiita wa Kenya, nchi yenye baraka, Kenya nchi yenye baraka, Kenya nchi yenye baraka. Kenya makao yetu ni nchi ya kupendeza, kamwe hatutaiacha, kamwe Kenya hatutaiacha, kamwe Kenya hatutaiacha. Anayependa Kenya ni yule mwenye kutenda haki kwa watu wote, mtu mwenye kutenda haki, mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Na ukipenda Kenya ujitengane na mambo yenye kuvunja amani. Hatutaki matata Kenya, hatutaki matata Kenya. Oh wenzangu,
Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima.
wenzangu,
Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha. We create some space, choir.
Kenya kipenzi chetu, nchi yenye upendo, hatutaacha Kenya daima na milele. Tumeapa sote wananchi wa Kenya kushuhudia Kenya daima na milele.
Makofi kwa mnenaji wetu.
Kenya ni mama yetu, tena ni baba yetu, hatutaacha Kenya daima na milele.
Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele.
Sitaiacha Kenya nchi yangu, umoja wetu Kenya tudumishe, sitaharibu mali ya wengine.
Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima,
na majirani wangu nitalinda.
Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima,
nitatetea haki za Wakenya.
Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima,
wala sitakubali ukabila.
Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima.
Wenzangu,
Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima.
Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda
daima. Wapi makofi ya wanakwaya wetu Huduma Kenya kwaya na kwaya yetu ya Kenya School of Government. Asanteni sana wanapoenda kuketi. May we resume to our seats. Thank you so much for that very efficacious presentation from our choirs. It is now my singular duty and honor to take cognizance and appreciate the presence of our presenter, who is the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, Having appointed in the year 2023 and assumed office, he is currently and also the chairperson of Evangelical Alliance of Kenya, EAK, and the vice chair of the Association of Evangelicals in Africa. Dr. Ogide is a renowned and distinguished leader with a specialization in leadership and governance. He has also published several books and written articles in various leadership journals, and is the founder of the Catalyst Associates, a leadership development firm, and runs the Popular Leadership Forum on Hope FM. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our presenter, Dr. Bishop Ogide. Wapi makofi ya askofu?
Good morning, all. It's a great honor and privilege to be here this morning, and thank you for the invitation, the organizers of this great gathering. Before I move forward, let me just make a brief correction on my introduction there, just in case I get into trouble. I'm no longer chair of Mama Ngina University for obvious reasons. I had to step down when I was appointed into this new office because of conflict of interest. I'm also no longer chair of Evangelical Alliance for same reasons. So for the last 2 or so years, I've been an ordinary member of this great republic. But the other things that you said are true. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just in case the chair of Mama Ngina University hears and says he is still masquerading as chair, and he handed over 2 years ago. But thank you very much for the invitation that I've been given to come and make a presentation. And our topic of discussion this morning is legal and structural reforms to achieve equitable governance. I asked the presenters, the organizers, why they asked me to talk about legal frameworks when there are very good lawyers in this country who can give us some very good presentation on this particular matter. But they prevailed upon me to say that they are not looking for the legal issues, but how we can see the equity within our governance system. Now let me start by just talking about the issue of equity. We are going to be talking about citizen-centric approach to governance. We are going to talk about legal frameworks, regulatory measures, and inclusive public policies. We are going to be talking about legal and structural reforms on promoting inclusivity. And I have at the table here very able discussants that will take us into details on some of those things. So mine is to lay a platform for us, our discussion this morning. Those of you who are in leadership circles and management circles, you would know that the word equity is not quite the same as equality, though sometimes we confuse the two or use them interchangeably, but they are quite different. Equity is actually a perception that an individual has around them in whichever place they are in, especially where resources of any kind are being shared or distributed. Equity, therefore, is what I feel when I see what I have versus what the other person has. That's what will determine whether I get happy with what I have compared to what the other person has. So a simple example is, say for example, I'm working in a place where I'm being paid 100,000 Kenya shillings. And then I change jobs. An advertisement is put out, and I apply, I go for interviews, and I'm told my salary is now going to be 500,000. So I'm like, this is God who has come through for me. To move from 100,000 to 500,000 is not a bad thing. And so I'm very happy to move into this new space where I'm now getting 500,000. Still doing the same job that I was doing in the other place where I was being paid 100,000. Now, after a few months, I discovered that my colleagues who are also doing a similar job, some of them are being paid 600,000, and some of them are being paid 700,000. What happens to me? I begin to feel exploited. I feel this is not equity. How can we be doing the same job and I'm being paid 500 and the other person is being paid 700? So I become dissatisfied with my 500, even though it is 5 times what I was getting just a few months ago. So that dissatisfaction comes as a result of my comparison of what I have versus what the other person has. And it is therefore a perception that the organization is not treating me fairly. Now, somebody else who I'm maybe talking with from my previous job, if I tell them I'm getting 500, they are trying to find out how can I get that job also. Because they would also want to get that 500. But where I am now, I am so demoralized. I'm so discouraged because there is no equity. So equity is about a perception. So when we talk about equity within the governance sector, we are talking about the equality, participation, and transparency that we experience in how we are governed and how resources are distributed across the nation and among its people. So it has to do with the levels of inclusion, the levels of equality, the levels of participation in that distribution, transparency, in other words, how open is that distribution being done, and how open and transparent are we governed as the people who are governed. And then to what extent are those who are governing accountable to those who they govern. So the whole issue of inclusion, equality, participation, transparency, and accountability then form that perception, that the kind that I've talked about, in terms of how then people feel that the governance system is equitable towards everybody. So an accountable public service that is transparent, that is ethical, that upholds integrity, that provides effective management of public resources is critical for driving the perception that every person within the society is treated in a fair manner. Remember, equity is not equality. In other words, it is not that each and every person gets the same thing, but that I get that which I deserve and that which is due unto me. So the public service serving in this kind of environment and seeking to drive an equitable governance must therefore see or look into these particular issues that we have talked about. To what extent are we inclusive in the way that we drive our service in whichever place we find ourselves? And this is a matter that has attracted a lot of public discussion on how or to what extent the public service within our country operates and delivers service in a manner that those people who are being served can perceive that everything is done in an open, transparent, and equitable manner. In our Constitution, there has been an attempt for us to put in place structures and systems that then make our governance more equitable, at least in the eyes of those that are governed. So we find that in our Constitution, we have entrenched the idea that the citizens participate in elections by electing their leaders, and they elect leaders of integrity. We have introduced what is called public participation, and one of us is going to be talking in a little more detail on that, so that we are participants in every aspect of governance system whenever it is being laid out and rolled out. So public are invited to be part of the legislation process, so that when a bill is coming into Parliament, we are called upon to come and give our views, and those views are supposed to be taken on board, so that finally whatever it is that comes out of that legislation, we can feel that we participated in that process. This is a law that we participated in putting in place. Because that participation then gives us a sense that whatever it is, whatever laws that have been put in place are fair and have taken into account our circumstances. Planning and budgeting. Today there's going to be budgeting. Planning and budgeting should also take into account our views, our aspirations, our desires, our priorities, where we want our resources to be placed, so that we can move forward as a community moving together. And that should also be in a transparent and accountable manner. And so you'll find that there has been and there will continue to be participation, public participation in the planning and budgeting process, so that whatever it is that finally comes out, we can at least accept or have the belief that it has taken into account our aspirations, our desires. When it comes to issues of corruption, where I am, not where I am the one leading corruption, but where I've been asked to deal with people in corruption. Normally introduce myself, I say I'm in the corruption industry. A very vibrant industry. As you know, in our country, it is a very vibrant sector, and keeps us busy. Again, because the resources that have been put out there, whether at the county government or at the national government, at ministries, departments, or agencies of government, are resources that we ourselves would have participated in allocating. We then expect that those resources are going to be utilized in the way that we had agreed as we set out our budget. So any person then who either misuses, misappropriates, or even steals those resources are going against that contract that we have had with the people who are charged with the responsibility of taking care of those resources. And therefore, part of our citizen-centric approach to governance requires and provides opportunity for all of us as citizens, wherever we are, to be able to report any kind of inconsistencies that we see in the use of the resources that have been taken down to the places where we are. And therefore, as citizens, we have that challenge, and we have that responsibility to point out that the monies, the resources that we agreed would be brought down to our village in order to provide schools, to provide health care, to build roads, and all those things are not being used for that purpose. And therefore, it is your responsibility, it is my responsibility as a citizen to participate in that process of making sure that these resources are safeguarded. And so we expect that there is a reporting system that has been put in place, and you can report to our office, for example, as EACC, so that then we can go and investigate and find out what exactly may have been happening there. This is part of ensuring that citizens participate in the governance system, especially in resource management. The monitoring of government expenditure is another area where we as citizens have opportunity to check on how our resources are being utilized. And Kenyans have become very active and very vigilant in this particular area, so that resources, it is not just the stealing of it or the misappropriation of it, but also the right use of it. So are we putting our money in priority projects, in priority areas, and are we taking care of those things that matter to the public? That is a responsibility, again, that we as citizens need to take upon ourselves, so that we ensure that the resources that we have given, because we are the taxpayers, the resources that the government uses have been taken from us, or we have given freely, so that the government can utilize this for our welfare. So the monitoring of government expenditure is part of our responsibility as citizens, so that we can ensure that there is proper utilization of the same. The fifth thing I would point out in terms of citizen-centric approach to governance is advocacy. Advocacy on good governance. It is our role and our responsibility as citizens to advocate. Advocacy means we advocate. To advocate for right governance systems that ensure that we have an environment where each and every one of us can go about our duties and responsibilities freely, fairly, without any intimidation, any challenges or difficulties. And so when we see things that are not going right, part of our citizen-centric approach to governance means that we can stand up as citizens and advocate. And advocating here does not necessarily mean we become violent or do things that undermine our own livelihood, but that we raise up our voices and point out areas where we may not be happy, things that may not be going right, or sometimes things that may have been ignored or overlooked, and we would want to see them taken into account. Now, when we do these kinds of things, what it does is that it helps the government or those who are in governance to do things in the right way, and that builds public trust. If you go to nations where citizens and government are working together towards a common goal and purpose, you find that there is less politics, there is less noise, because everybody believes that the other person is doing the right thing. And this is something that we as Kenyans need to aspire towards. I think Kenya is perhaps the only country in the world, I need to find out if there is any other country, where we do politics 24/7, 365 days in a year, and all the year round. In fact, the moment election results are announced, we begin the next campaign. So that when 2022 was done, we started talking about, you will see us in 2027. And we have been politicking, and we will continue to politic until 2027. When we get to 2027, we start on 2032. There is no way a nation can grow and develop when all our effort and focus is on politics. And this tells us that there's a sense in which, as a people, we do not trust ourselves, and particularly, we do not trust our leaders, the same leaders that we ourselves have elected and appointed. So we need to look at how can we build ourselves and build our nation and our governance system in a way that once we have done our elections, once we have appointed our leaders, I can go back and do my business knowing that the person that I have put in place is doing the right thing and is doing it for the welfare and the good of the rest of the public. That public trust is so important for all of us, because it is the only way we can develop and grow and join the other league of nations that are considered to be in the developed world. So, as a people, we therefore need to ensure that as citizens, we participate in all these opportunities so that we can get the right kind of people leading us and people who are doing the right kind of things. It will enhance fairness, it will enhance our representation, it empowers us, it builds a sense of ownership so that it is not mali ya umma, but it is ours. It is us who are governed and are also participating in the same. When we put in place a citizen-centric, and not just put in place but practice it, we find that there are increased checks and balances in our governance system. Now, what are the legal frameworks that have been put in place? I will not spend too much time here because, again, there's somebody else who is coming to talk about that or in our discussion. But there are several legal measures that have been taken, put in place in order to ensure that we have a system that works and that promotes the welfare of our people. The Constitution is our fundamental law of the land. And in the Constitution, we have several provisions, but let me talk particularly in the matters to do with accountability and ethics. In Article 10, in Chapter 6, which is known by almost everybody, is quoted like quoting the Bible. Chapter 6 promotes integrity, accountability, and servant leadership. It basically says that any person who is given responsibility in governance, he must first and foremost be a person who is ethical and a person who upholds integrity in whatever they do and serves the people. That is then brought down into various legislations. The Ethics and Corruption Commission Act is about bringing public education and awareness so that we know what we need to do in order to uphold integrity within our country. Leadership and Integrity Act sets ethical standards for all those people who serve in public office. They are required to declare their wealth so that we know whether they are eating from the pot that they are supposed to be guarding or they are actually doing that which they are supposed to do. In the County Governments Act, the devolution promotes transfer of resources and involvement of citizens in planning and budgeting at the grassroots level, and we are supposed to be participants in that area. Our National Youth Council calls for action to amplify the voice of the young people and ensure inclusion, access to employment, and economic opportunities. There is a law that is still pending in Parliament on gender that seeks to ensure that there is gender balance and equity when it comes to the role of men and women in governance. All these have been put in place so that we can have in our nation a citizen-centric governance system. When it comes to structural reforms for promoting inclusivity, again, we go back to the Constitution, which establishes commissions dealing with specific concerns. And we have several commissions, including the one that I'm part of, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. These commissions are set by the Constitution so that they ensure that different critical areas of our governance are taken care of in a manner that is then beneficial to our people. The Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act is to ensure that access to government procurement is equitable and provides opportunities for those people who may be disadvantaged because of their placement or because of their status in society. The anti-corruption laws have also been put in place. The Leadership and Integrity Act, which I've talked about, the EACC Act, the conflict of interest, all these have been put in place so that we ensure that our governance system promotes inclusivity, transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. The Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum is a forum that from EACC side we have put together so that it can bring together people from every sector of society. It's a multi-sectoral forum where any and every one of us can participate. We have divided the whole society into 20 sectors, both public and private, so that there is participation on the promotion of ethics and the fight against corruption. We have the Kenya Integrity Plan, which helps us in that, and the public and private people are invited to participate in the same. So, what is this telling us? Is that when it comes to regulatory and legal frameworks, Kenya is not short of laws. We are not short of policies. We are not short of legal frameworks. What we are short of is the belief in those laws. It is the implementation of those policies. It is the actualizing of the same at the grassroots level. And this calls for us as citizens to be alert and to participate in the governance system that we have put in place together. Otherwise, we'll continue to complain, we'll continue to cry. But I want to particularly speak to those of us who serve within the public service. Those of us, and by public service, I mean all of us who work for government. If we understand that we are servants, in fact, in our previous constitutional regime, what we call CSS now were called ministers. That word minister was actually borrowed from a religious term which simply means servant. A minister means a servant. So the people who are appointed to oversee any government ministry were called servants. We are called public servants. There was a reason, I believe, and a concept and idea behind it, that we are not to lord it over the people that we lead, but we are to provide service to the people that we lead. So that when I get into a government office, at whatever level, I should be treated with dignity, with decorum, because I am the owner of this thing. But there are times when we get into government offices and the government servant treats you as if they are doing you a privilege. It is something that they do and you have to plead for, and when it comes to corruption, you have to pay for. This is something that we need to change. For all of us who serve in the public service, all of us who serve in government, if we are going to have a citizen-centric governance, there needs to be a change of attitude. We need to see ourselves as people who have been charged with the responsibility of serving those people who have appointed us and put us in those offices. It is the citizens who have put us in those offices, and it is our role and responsibility to ensure that we serve them in the way that we deserve. It is just a matter of change of attitude. The second change that we must have is the change of perspective. The resources that have been entrusted to us are resources that belong to the public and belong to the people. If we are going to have a citizen-centric governance, then we must use those resources for the benefit of the people that we serve and the people for whom the resources are meant. When you are given a public office, you are not given so that you can eat. You know, there used to be that term, it is our turn to eat. So that when a person gets into a public office, their first and foremost thought is, how can I eat? And unfortunately, brothers and sisters and fellow citizens, this thing is getting worse by the day. I can tell you from where I sit in the office of EACC, we are getting overwhelmed by the levels of corruption, theft that is taking place within our society, from the lowest person to the highest person in the land. It seems like our only preoccupation is what we can get, what we can take. This undermines the very essence of good governance and a citizen-centric governance. Because whatever we are taking away from the resources that we have been given undermines the livelihoods of various individuals. When you take the resources that were meant for health, it means somebody somewhere is going to die of disease which could have been prevented. When you take money that was meant for a road, it means that some people are not going to be able to take their produce to where they need to take it because the roads are not accessible. And so my call and plea as I sit down is that all of us who have been called into the public office, let us be citizen-centric. Let us remember the people to whom we have been called to serve, and let us provide service in the best way possible. Thank you, and God bless.
More hearty clap for Bishop and our presenter this morning. It is evident that Bishop, as you said earlier, it didn't require an expert in that line, but you've also spoken like an expert in it. A lot of applause for our presenter. Thank you so much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take cognizance and appreciate that in our midst, we have guests. And as Kenyans, we have a tendency, or it is our tradition and culture, that we appreciate, we love, and we welcome guests. Allow me to take cognizance and appreciate the Ethiopian Civil Service Commission delegation, which is on benchmarking tour here in our country, under the leadership of Dr. Birhanu Afso, the government employees competence lead executive director. I would request wherever they are kindly to be upstanding, the entire delegation, so that we appreciate them with a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, and the entire delegation for joining us this afternoon as we celebrate this noble day, and I'm glad because you came when already our presenter was giving us the insights. And you'll have a benefit of listening to our panelists and the discussants. And also the presenter will be part of the discussion so that we give him an opportunity to expound more on what he had not given unto us. This afternoon, we were anticipating to have from the Office of the Attorney General, Honorable Dorcas, but we are glad because among the several deputy solicitor generals, or the head of Legal Advisory and Research Division is with us from the Office of the Attorney General, and that is none other than Madam Pauline Mcharo. I will invite her kindly to drop to the panelist area so that we can start our program. Let's appreciate our discussant as she takes the position at the down floor. A seasoned legal practitioner and an executive leader with over 12 years of experience multifaceted experience in law, policy development and governance, and a public administrator, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, that is none other than my good friend, Mr. Biketi Nick Malenya. Put our hands together for our brother as he takes his position. I also request the presenter, also Bishop, to also join the panelist. Let's appreciate the Bishop as he also takes the part of the panelist. One of our secretaries in the commission and also the Chief Executive Officer, Commission on Administration Justice, Office of the Ombudsman, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and a legal practitioner with administrative law reforms, human rights, gender and social justice, with an experience spanning for over 25 years. This is none other than our moderator, Madam Mercy Kalundu Wambua. Put your hands together for our moderator as she takes over the stage so that she can make us understand better. And as the moderator takes the position, just a word to Bishop Ogide. This morning I had posed a question to the auditorium, and I requested them to give me my answer in the evening. And the question was, who is a greater evil? He who pays for sins, or he who sins for pay? Who is the greater evil? He who pays for sins, or he who sins for pay? So before the close of the business, I will require 2 or 3 people to give me the answer. Moderator, Ms. Mercy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Kindly proceed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, our MC. And I would like also to appreciate Dr. Bishop Oginde for setting the pace for this panel discussion. That was really a wonderful presentation, made in a way that we could all resonate and understand. As introduced, my name is Mercy Wambua. I serve Kenyans as the Commission Secretary and also the CEO of the Commission on Administrative Justice. The Commission is also known as the Office of the Ombudsman. And the commission deals with matters of maladministration within public service and also oversight on access to information. And I believe it's based on that the organizers thought it fit for the commission to be represented today and to moderate this session. I really appreciate that opportunity. And also appreciate Madam Pauline from the Office of the Attorney General for joining us, and Mr. Biketi for also joining us. We will go straight to the panel discussion following the wonderful presentation that Dr. Oginde, you have made. You have raised very pertinent issues, and your parting shot was really powerful. You indicated that according to you, that in Kenya, we have sufficient legal and policy framework, and the problem is the implementation. And I believe within this discussion, we will delve into it and see whether we'll come up with possible recommendations or see what the government is doing to ensure that is done. Allow me to start off from Madam Pauline, and coming from the Office of the Attorney General. The Attorney General, of course, being the principal advisor of the government and also being in charge of legal aid services in this country. We all appreciate that citizen-centric service delivery will definitely be pushed by ensuring that we have an effective legal aid service for Wanjiku and every Kenyan in this country. What is the progress made by the Office of the Attorney General towards effective and efficient implementation of the Legal Aid Act 2017? It's almost 8 years now. Is this a mirage or it's a reality? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wambo, for this question, and I also want to thank the Ministry of Public Service for inviting the Attorney General to be part of this African Public Service Day. First, what I'd like to highlight is our office is established under Article 156, and its role, one of its key mandates under the Constitution, is to promote public interest. That means to also promote citizen-centric governance and responsive legal frameworks and foster inclusivity within government. You've asked a question on how far we've gone on legal aid services and NLAS. We have set up the National Legal Aid Service Office, and we have decentralized its services to 30 counties. Wherever AG office, wherever we have in our regional offices, wherever we have an AG office, regional office, we are also having a National Legal Aid Service Desk. In my tours around the country in the supporting the decentralization of legal services of the Office of the Attorney General, the issue of legal aid was so critical as we discussed with county commissioners. I recall I did visit some counties last year and spoke to county commissioners, and they were very insistent that there is need to have a legal aid desk within the county headquarters, and we have now set them up within our regional offices. Also, what we are working on is operationalization of the legal aid fund. Our legal aid fund, once it's operationalized, it will give us ability to mobilize more funding to support legal aid services within the country. We have already the board in place. We have the services already taking place. We're decentralizing. And what now we are working on is ensuring that the legal aid fund is operationalized to support not only funding from government, but also funding, receiving of funds from donors and well-wishers to support the National Legal Aid Service in its work. Once we operational as the National Legal Aid Fund, it will enhance access to justice to help us support more indigent and marginalized persons, especially in grassroots settings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Pauline. And while at that, I note that you have indicated that there is progress made towards operationalization of the National Legal Aid. Maybe you could also highlight to us what are the other strategies that the Office of the Attorney General is employing to ensure that there is citizen-centric service delivery in this country, and specifically to the vulnerable, the indigent, and the low-income communities. What specific measures are you adopting to minimize barriers to access to public service?
As I told you, the AG office is decentralizing. The cabinet gave a resolution, I think last year or late the other year, that the AG office should be decentralized in all counties. We are now reaching the 34 counties where we are going to have state law offices in all the counties. So now we are on it's a progressive approach, 34 counties, to enable the public get our services. Not only legal aid services, but also other services, public trustee services, marriage services, registration services. So that would mean we'd have many AG offices around the country, particularly at the county headquarters. The national government has been very supportive of this initiative, and we're having the county commissioners actually carving out spaces from within the headquarters for the state law offices. And that is also where the National Legal Aid Services, National Legal Aid Service desks will also be there. So this will enable more enhanced citizen-centric approach to service delivery by the Office of the Attorney General.
Thank you. And over to you, Bishop Oginde. Once more, thank you for your presentation. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, you have indicated that it's getting overwhelmed with cases of corruption. And even as I speak from the Office of the Ombudsman, I would say that equally we are receiving a lot of complaints of maladministration in the public service. How else do you think that as a country we can be able to entrench positive or equitable governance within the public service so as to reduce these many cases of corruption as well as maladministration in the public sector?
Thank you very much. I think I already tried to answer that question in my presentation, and our society is not going to change through laws. I know we are today talking about legal framework, but our society is not going to change through laws. Laws are there to guide and to help bring into line any person that goes off, whether deliberately, intentionally, or by mistake. The law is there to bring them back online so that they can go. So it's really, the law provides for us guidelines. For example, when you are driving, you go to a driving school and you are taught the rules for driving. So in Kenya, we keep left. So I can drive at my speed, even round a bend, knowing that the car that is coming from the other side cannot be on my side, will not be on my side. They will keep to their side on the left. That gives me the confidence to drive at whatever good speed I want to, because both of us understand the rule of keeping left. If each one of us was to decide which side to keep, then it would make our driving very difficult, because I'm never sure where the next person might appear from. So those laws, those rules of keeping left, I'm just using one, is to help guide us. Now, I have to internalize that and know that it is for my sake and for your sake and every driver's sake for me to keep left when I'm driving. So it is an internal thing that I have believed, I practice, and I go with it. In our country, when we talk about issues of corruption and misappropriation of resources and the culture that we have developed, either some people have not internalized the idea that this country belongs to all of us and the resources are for all of us. So the way we are going to change that is, as citizens, first of all, to believe that, internalize that, so that when I go to a public office to seek services, my first thinking is not what do I carry with me, so that I can get the officer to do what they need to do or they're employed to do. The person who is serving should also give service, knowing that I am here to serve. Until we get to that place where we have a change of attitude and we internalize the whole issue of living by the rule of law, we'll keep creating more laws and more laws and more laws, but it's not going to help us. So that's why I was appealing to those of us who serve in the public service. Let us serve the people, knowing that it is a privilege, it is an honor, it is a responsibility that the people of Kenya and God has given us to serve them. It is the only way. Laws are there, and I am part of the law enforcement system, but I can tell you, laws will not help us.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Talking of the laws, and specifically the laws that the Commission operates under, what are the protocols that the Commission has put in place to ensure that citizen complaints and feedback on cases that they have either reported of corruption to the Commission have effectively been dealt with? And also, there's this big question that the members of public keep asking: does the Commission have the teeth to bite?
Just look at me and check whether I have teeth. Now, in terms of protocols, how do we handle the cases that have been brought to us? We run actually a very transparent system. So on our website, we have all the cases that we are dealing with. You can check at any given time what we are working on and so on. So when you report, for example, whether physically or by email or by getting to our website, that case is given a number, and you are given that number. And you can check through that number what has been done, how far it is gone, and you have the freedom to actually call the office or come to the office or send an email to find out, I reported this case, how far is it, what has been done, and we'll be able to let you know what the situation is. For example, just yesterday evening, I received a call all the way from Germany of this person who says he had reported a case to us and he has not received any response. And I could quickly go in and check on that, and I was able to get back to him and let him know this is where this particular case is at. So that openness and transparency is there to help our citizens to know what they have reported to us, how far it is gone. Now, the frustration comes in the sense that some people think that if you report a case today, By this afternoon, we are acting on it. We are arresting people. And it becomes a frustration for them when it takes a while before we are able to act. And that's why the overwhelming thing that I talked about, that we receive so many cases, big and small, on a daily basis. We are not able to cope with all of them. So you'll find that we have a big backlog of cases that we have not even started on. So what we did recently is to prioritize. So we prioritize cases in the sense of, we call them high impact cases. So high impact means either the amounts involved are big, or the persons involved are prominent, or it is a matter of public interest. So it can be a very small, in the eyes of people, case, but it is something that the public is interested in. So we'll prioritize those kinds of cases and push them as quickly as we can. So that means that some cases that have been reported to us may take a while before we act on them, but it's not because we have ignored them. I missed the second part of your question.
Yes, the second part of my question was
enforce.
Yes, how do you enforce?
Yes, that's a very good question. I think something that Kenyans have perhaps not internalized or known about EACC is that EACC is an investigative agency. We are an investigative agency. So if, for example, a case of corruption is reported to us, what we do is investigate, gather evidence, and then pass on that case to the office of the public prosecutor. The public prosecutor then analyzes and takes that case forward to court. So EACC is not a prosecutor. EACC, we do not take people to court. We investigate and hand over. So sometimes people, the reason they say we have no teeth is because they are not seeing cases in court, or they are not seeing people being convicted. We have no role in that particular one. When case gets to court, we become witnesses because we are the ones who have done the investigation. So we do not have the powers to prosecute. We do not have the powers to convict. Our role is to investigate. And that brings frustration to many Kenyans when they don't see things moving. It brings frustration to us, and you may know that we have been asking that we be given prosecutorial powers so that the cases that we investigate, we can also take them forward to court, which request has not been granted.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bishop. And actually, at the conclusion, you have indicated the need for legal reform, possibly, to be able to give the Commission more powers to address the many cases of corruption. And that leads me to Mr. Biketi. As the Secretary, Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs, State Department for Parliamentary Affairs, could you kindly first enlighten us on what is the role of the State Department, and how do you work with the Office of the Attorney General to coordinate and promote the legislative agenda of the national government?
Very well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that question. And with all humility, I'd like to start by, first of all, appreciating the public service and the State Department in particular for inviting us for this conversation and organizing this kind of conversation. And also like to join my colleague Mike to welcome our friends from Ethiopia. Now it feels like an Africa public service. First, I'd like to tell people around, our friends around, the public servants, that the State Department of Parliamentary Affairs is a new state department that was the vision of His Excellency the President. It's the first time we are seeing that kind of department in the executive order. And it's for a good reason. And the reasons are that the State Department offers a bridge between Parliament and the executive. And that's why it's called Parliamentary Affairs, State Department of Parliamentary Affairs. And what we do, we are like the umbilical cord, the communication nerve between Parliament and the executive. What the executive does, or rather what we are interested in what the executive does, is legislation mostly and policy. And as you realize, being a constitutional democracy, there is precisely almost nothing you can do without the rule of law, without a law, without a regulation, or without a policy. Consequently then, just like Bishop has said, in as much as he believes there should be more to us having a civil society whereby we are now looking at ourselves from a point of humanity, but we are living within the order of law. So consequently, all the aspirations that the national government had, the national development goals, what was dubbed the bottom up, have got to be evaluated and determine what are the legal and policy frameworks required to enable some of these things to be achieved. You are aware we had to undertake a reform agenda under SHA, for instance, where there are many laws that we had to relook into. You remember, for us to join the global conversation on environment, we also had to internally review and reform some of our legislative and policy framework around that question. There's been conversation on the education system. So then what does the State Department do? One of the mandates is exactly what I'm doing here, public participation. So that, like Bishop said, emphasizing centrally the question of public participation, how do we involve the people, how do we pick the views of the people to ensure that they are within the aspired laws. And I know this has been an area where the younger generation has really been tough on us because they are more involved, Bishop. By the way, we are going to witness a more citizen-centric population because this generation has been brought up under the 2010 Constitution. They are more aware of some of these values. So consequently, what we do is once we coordinate the development of these legislations within the ministries, within the state departments, and then work together with whoever is proposing that law, and this is the executive, so to speak, and facilitate with certain committees. The architecture of the 2010 Constitution is that you work with committees of parliament. So then we do that coordination, create the liaison, create collaborations, create engagements. And there are several laws. My senior colleague here will tell you that there are several laws, the land laws, for instance, they will go to parliament. The private member bills, by the way, that we also pick from parliament side and inform the executive that there is this private member bill that is being pushed. And either it's ahead of us or it's more nutritioned. Can we work together to enhance the laws? So basically what the State Department of Parliamentary Affairs does is to coordinate the process of legislation and policy development. Work on enhancement of also the quality, the capacity to remove duplicities, and our central partner is the Office of the Attorney General.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Biketi, for enlightening the audience on the role of the State Department being a new department with the current governance regime. Following on your submission, especially on citizen participation, and seeing that you also work closely with the Office of the Attorney General, so I'll pose this question to both of you on citizen participation. It has been very many years since the 2010 Constitution, and it's expected that the citizen participation law by now ought to be in place. What is the status of that specific law that is going to improve and govern one of the principles of equitable governance in this country?
First, let me say one thing. Wakenya wote tukiwa hapa. Article 1 of the Constitution. Daktari, I like the way you dived into the conversation by even defining what governance is. And the topic is enhance equity in governance. So the question is, we are enhancing what? And you've done very well to say, in terms of legal framework, we are fairly doing well. So in terms of enhancement, we are not definitely asking for more laws, but we are asking for the spirit. And that's what takes me to Article 1, because Article 1 places all of us at the center of governance. Because governance is rule, is power. That sovereignty is what governance is. But then the people delegate it by donating it to some of us who are serving. Now, that law that Madam is asking is actually one of the major nervous lines to realize the spirit of this constitution, to realize your aspiration, Bishop, that we have to go beyond the law, because there's a spirit behind this contract. But if we cannot ourselves as Kenyans be willing to participate, like today we're just having a conversation with the panel at break, we ought to all be here and ask these questions that we've been asking from the periphery. And that's the public participation we are talking about. So there's a law that actually it's the Office of the Attorney General that is leading us in that particular development of the Public Participation Act bill that at the moment is undergoing public participation. So the Public Participation Bill is actually undergoing public participation. And this conversation is so central and important to us because we also have to ask ourselves, I know she'll talk about the process more, but I just want to put out some of the ideas I'm thinking about, that as we seek to participate more in development, in opportunity, in policy and legislative development, what should be the cost in time and actual resources? This bill we are talking about has taken more than 2 years with different initiatives. So these are some of the conversations that, what is the extent of people participating? What is the limit of your sovereignty? What is the extent of your delegation of that power that you're giving to your delegatee, either the executive, parliament, or whatever? So that law is in course, very good course. We are praying that by the end of this year, it ought to go through parliament.
Thank you. And Madam Pauline, as you come in on the same issue, you could also indicate to us some of the areas that the bill is covering, and specifically towards ensuring that each Kenyan's voice will, going forward, be heard and be taken into consideration when developing laws and when developing policies.
Okay, thank you so much. I know there's so much interest on this public participation bill. First, I would like to inform you that currently it's undertaking public participation, and you're all invited to give your comments also online. I know in this week's newspapers, they have put the web links in which every person could give their comments. Also, the Office of the Attorney General has also been taking initiative of moving around the counties, making the public aware of this bill and the requirements of the bill. And we hope that, as my colleague has said, that this bill will, after this, will go to Parliament and is passed before the end of the year. What is the main purpose of the bill? First, to give effect to the principles of public participation as enshrined in the Constitution, to ensure that every person's voice has been heard. Two, to promote democracy and participation of people in accordance with Article 10 of the Constitution, and also to promote transparency and accountability in decision making. So that would mean policies, laws, anything that would impact the citizen will be put forth in public participation, and also enhance public awareness and promote public inclusivity in governance and in governance in the country. And many people will ask, what is the threshold? How will responsible authorities take into consider? One, the responsible authorities who will be preparing laws, who will be preparing legislations, who will be preparing financial anything that would impact the public would have to consider and analyze responses that have been provided by the public, and also make available the reasons for the final decision to the public. Meaning, if some of the comments are not considered, the final outcome of a bill, of a regulation, of a policy, would have to say, why weren't these comments considered? Why were these considered? And this is how they appear in the policy. So that would mean that would mean responsible authorities have to be very analytical and really take into weight everybody's input. I remember I once lived in a country where there was a debate whether all children should have music lessons. And it was put in public participation. We hope this after this bill is passed, input that would affect even how would CBC, input that would affect the core nature of our lives would be considered for public participation, and maybe that would also promote the less agitation from the current generation that we are having, that is very citizen-centric in its approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Pauline. And one of the other principles of equitable governance and, of course, enforcing or promoting citizen-centric service delivery is ensuring that there is effective grievance redress mechanisms put by all the government agencies. And this would definitely mean that there will be a complainant, there will be a whistleblower. What is the government doing to ensure that whistleblowers are protected towards promoting accountability within the public service?
Again, this also falls under the Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice. Just as the public participation bill is in public participation, the Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice has led the development of a whistleblower protection bill. And this is a way to protect diligent citizens who would bring out issues that affect the public and who would feel unsafe after giving out that information. And the whistleblower protection bill is also in public participation. So it's done, it's been drafted, and it's already, again, there have been teams going around the country sensitizing the public of the whistleblower protection bill. And also there's a website link. You just go to the AG office portal and give your comments, read the bill and give your comments on it. So the AG's office is working in a holistic, integrated way to protect public interest by ensuring the appropriate legal frameworks are in place. After this, the public participation bill, The Whistleblower Protection Bill, we also have the Anti-Corruption Amendments Bill, also in public participation. The comments will be taken into account in the right way, and the bills will be forwarded to Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you very much, panelists, for that wonderful engagement. I still have lots of questions for you, but allow me to bring our audience into this and ask if there's anyone who would want to ask part of the questions that are still remaining. You could raise your hand and we will give you an opportunity to ask our panelists any question that you have touching on the topic that we are discussing today. Yes, there's an hand here on my right. You say your name and possibly the institution you come from and to whom. On the right, stay here. And I'm told there's one at the back. After that, the mic can go there.
Okay, my name is George Itonga, Public Service Reforms Directorate. Now, Bishop, you've talked about the issue of the public participating or the citizen participating on monitoring of public expenditure. Now, I'm a bit uncomfortable there because when you look at the reports from the Office of the Auditor General, there's a lot of mishaps there. I've seen reports of wastage of public funds in the counties. Now, where does that report goes? Because now, how am I going to participate if those reports are not? To what extent have you addressed those reports from the Office of the Auditor General? Because there will be an apathy. Because kama sioni kama kitu inatendeka, if I don't see anything happening, how do I then engage myself so actively in monitoring the public expenditure? Thank you.
We have a second question at the back here.
My name is Sarafina. I'm from Public Service under Management Consultancy. So my question goes direct to the Office of Attorney General. As the Nation Legal Advisor, how can you ensure that our laws not only protect institutions, but truly services the cry of the common citizen, especially the poor, voiceless, and marginalized, who often left behind by structural reform? Answering this question will be able to help us to improve in public service delivery.
We do have a third question here.
Proceed.
Thank you very much. My name is Caleb Ngala. Let me stand. Caleb Ngala is a civil society member, not a civil servant. And I'm talking on behalf of the community members who are consumers of your services that you provide. One, I want to talk about the challenges and the policies that we are talking about here. The government has let us down extremely kabisa, because since 2010 up to date, we still don't have a public participation governing policy or either a governing document that can help us enforce the public participation. And this is not only for the national government alone. These are stuck even the county governments to do a proper public participation. Currently, the Office of the Attorney General and the current office that was created to coordinate the national government and the MPs and those law creators, wabunge hao. Can you come up with a quick force of this document? Because it will guide us on how we can have a good public participation, not only in the national level, but also in the county level. Currently, the only document that we are relying on when it comes to public participation is Public Finance Management Act. That is the only document that we are relying on, especially when it comes to the public engagement on matters, finance, and budget making process. To our EACC. EACC, previously it was a bit working well and it was well known even at the community level. But today, under your leadership, Bishop, we were expecting much service delivery and even public engagement when it comes to EACC. Remember, you rely on the information that are being given out. That's where you rely on doing your investigation, and even not only the information alone, but this thing needs to be processed up to the judiciary and later we get justice. But today, EACC is nowhere to be seen pale kwa ground. Can you revamp back the EACC that we used to know? Walikuwa wanakuja wana engage na community, wanakuja wanauliza community shida yao, where is the corruption? We managed to eradicate the issues of corruption when it comes to drugs and substance use in Mathare, simply because the EACC was ready to work with the community members. But today, kama si integrity, they are nowhere to be seen. Last but not least, to our government, we are still, the civil servants are still facing issues like gender-based violence. And for you to be upgraded to another level, ama kupata promotion, you must, especially the gender female, they face a lot of gender-based violence. When will these things stop? We have had a lot of policies that you are talking about that are going through public participation, but I can say 99% of Kenyans doesn't know those kind of policies that you are talking about, even those witness protection policies. Thank you.
Any other question before we go to the moderator? Thank you. Moderator, you can proceed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, audience. That's a confirmation that you are following keenly. I will hand over to my panelists to respond to the questions starting from my left.
Okay, first, I thank you so much for the questions, and what has come out is how do we ensure that does the AG ensure inclusivity in the sense that our laws address the cries of the citizens and address their concerns in the lawmaking process. And also one of the members in the podium has also stated that these laws that we are speaking about are a mirage, and there is lack of awareness. So the very concerns we've raised are the very reasons why the AG's office came up with the public participation bill. In fact, the Honorable Attorney General is a key champion of this bill. And that was her agenda number one when she took over the office as Attorney General, and had it taken back from Parliament because it had some concerns, and had it reviewed, and now we are back to ensuring that we have a good bill going back to Parliament. The key strategies the bill provides to ensure that the cries of the common citizen, whether the grassroots citizen, commonly known, the grassroots citizens get access to the laws and to give their input. The bill provides that first, all different strategies shall be used. Television stations, community radio stations, normal radio stations, public meetings, in barazas. So wherever the citizens are, they have to get access to these laws, including these bills being interpreted in a way, in languages that they understand. When it comes to the coverage, the scope would affect that all regulation-making authorities, any body making up a bill or coming up with a regulation that would impact the public, have to follow this law before it comes into place. This includes county assemblies. It also includes county executive committees. It includes national government, the judiciary, the Attorney General, the ODPP, any body, any any governance body that is coming up with a legislation, a law, a policy that would affect the common man has to follow the requirements of the Public Participation Bill and ensure that the public participation process coverage is broad and that the public get access and give their comments. There is also now a responsibility also for the public not to sit back. They also have to be proactive. If a baraza is being called in your community area to address a certain concern, please attend the baraza and give your views. So it will be two-way. The agencies and the government do their part, the county assemblies do their part, and also the members of public have to appear in those meetings once they're informed and also give their feedback. And that way, it will be an inclusive process. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Bishop, there was a question to you on how you'd revamp the EACC to engage with the community, and a specific reference was made about Mathare.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that question and comment. The EACC is in 11 stations. We call them regions across the country. We have 11 regions across the country where we have grouped various counties because of the numbers that we have. So at those regional offices, they provide the services from the EACC to the people that are around them. And therefore, if you have any engagement that you'd want in your particular area, you can actually approach our regional office and they will be able to facilitate you. You will find that our regional offices, because of the staff complement that we have, we do not have too many people in that particular place to, on their own, organize activities that would go down to the grassroots on a regular basis. But our education department, part of our initiative is to bring out public awareness, public education on matters of ethics and anti-corruption within those regions, within the places where they are. So we do organize those kinds of activities. It may not get to your ear, and therefore you may not be able to attend, but those activities are there across the country. We engage schools, we engage colleges, institutions, we engage the general public wherever they are, basically doing public education and awareness on matters to do with ethics and the fight against corruption. But like I said, if for example, you say you are from Mathare, and there's a group of people that you can put together and you want to hear more about how can you contribute or participate in the fight against corruption or ethical issues in your area. You can do that, you organize, let our office know, and we will send some of our officers to those kinds of activities. It doesn't matter how big or how small. I give you an example. There's a group recently, I think about 2 weeks ago, that approached us and said, we have some school children, primary school children. We have an outing with them somewhere in the Ndigwa area. And we would like you to come and talk to them on matters of values and ethics. These were just about 50 children. They were having a time out, swimming and doing those kinds of things. But the organizers of this event felt that this is a good opportunity for them to speak to these children and try and help them on matters to do with values and ethics. And we sent our officer to that event because this is part of our mandate to help educate the public. And particularly, we are very interested with the young people, with children, because it is only if we can raise a new generation of individuals that have internalized values and ethics that we can truly transform our nation. So my brother, my friend, and all of us, and any other person, if you have an event, if you have a group, if you have an activity where you would want us to come, let us know. We will send our officers to the ground. But on our own initiative, because of our numbers, we are not able to go everywhere, though we still do organize those outreaches in different places.
Thank you very much, Bishop. And Mr. Biketi, there was a question or a statement that there seemed to be increasing cases of sexual gender-based violence, especially in the workplace, also in the public sector, and also ensure equitable, if there is promotion, someone need not be harassed sexually or as a result of being either male or female for them to get promoted. That was a question from the audience.
Very well, Ndugu. First, maybe before I get to that question, it seemed to have some frustration with the process with which the public participation laws and framework has grown. I'd like to inform you that, number one, the principal institution to process legislation is Parliament. And pursuant to that, from 2010, the Parliament of the 11th and 12th Parliament had about 5 different proposed legislations on public participation, including the Chris Wamalwa Public Participation Bill. There was also, I think, Wambua Mtua Bill. And then recently there was the Ichungwa Bill. But that has not stopped the people to participate, because you've seen there are many laws that the courts have shot down pursuant to just that principle of public participation on the framework of the Constitution. So there has been nothing particularly lost. All we want as government, as the AG has said, is to involve more. Like Bishop said, one of the principles of equitable governance is inclusion and participation. So we are just trying to give it more detail. And you're also aware of the BAT case at the Supreme Court that laid out all the principles on public participation. So what the AG is doing is now to incorporate those into a coded form, which is now the Public Participation Bill. Now, the question of sexual violence, I'm not an expert. I do not want to pretend to be one, but I know if you go to, just first of all, if you check around the room, we are talking about equity, and when you talk about equity, if you have a legal frame of mind like mine, then the question becomes, this word equity is treating which mischief? Who are the people who are facing inequity? One, if you look at our Constitution, you'll see is the women. You'll see we said it's the youth. We said it's the marginalized people. But if you check this panel now, the panel, and as we are seated here, you can see equity. Yeah? If you check the room, you can clearly see how far we've gone on the affirmative action question, especially on gender, the 2/3 principle and the rest. If you check the commission and the appointments at the moment and promotions, and if you read, I think it's Article 231 of the Constitution on the principles or the values and principles of public service, the question of gender balance is a very serious issue. So you cannot even make promotions just on those favors that we are looking at. We've grown as a society, and it's also important for us to appreciate when we've grown, and there are certain things that now we've been able to manage. And the justice system and his organization have also been very tough on some of these issues that are perceived to be biases towards opportunities. So I want to believe, as a nation, even as we are striving for enhancement, we must also appreciate where we are. That's what I would like to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. And as I give Pauline to close, because of time, also to mention and add that sexual gender-based violence at workplace amounts to maladministration. And that's one of the areas or jurisdiction that the Commission on Administrative Justice or the Office of the Ombudsman deals with. And we receive a lot of complaints, and we are investigating them. They can also be sent as anonymous, even as we wait for the whistleblower protection law to come into place. We receive anonymous complaints, and others we take up on suo moto and investigate and make the necessary recommendations. As we serve within the Kenyan Constitution of 2010, employees of even the public service have rights, and their rights need to be protected, and there's no employee who should be forced or face gender-based violence at workplace and keep quiet. The Office of the Ombudsman is open for you to come and report such cases. Madam Pauline, do you have something to add as we close?
I don't think I really have anything to add. You've already guided the grievance mechanisms, especially because maybe most of the workers may not be comfortable reporting these issues to their HR. We also receive certain complaints from institutions on maladministration, and as AG's office, we've forwarded them to Ombudsman to act. And so it's very important to understand that the institutions that you can share the information anonymously, and you can see that this issue has also received such strategic importance that there's even a task force on GBV. And it's important also to engage in the public sittings of this task force that's moving around collecting views and on these issues of GBV. And when I go back, one of my colleagues is actually a task force member. I'm going to ask him whether the issues of GBV in the workplace have been brought to the attention of the task force, and tell him to have a look at it. In addition, on the issue of sexual discrimination, I don't know in what context, whether it's in promotions or what, but I know in AG's office we are, I think, over 60% women. So now we are very sensitive to the male gender. I mean, for us, we are very sensitive to the male gender. Now we are looking at discrimination against the men, and we are seeing how to include even more men in the staff establishment. So equity and equity is not only women, more women. We are getting to a system where equity will also have to be inclusivity of the male gender. Thank you.
Thank you very much, panelists, Pauline, Bishop, and Biketi. We really, really appreciate your contribution, input. I believe as audience, we leave here more educated and with more information on the area of being citizen-centric in all the approach of government and public service. Thank you very much, and be blessed. Thank you, audience.
Let us appreciate our moderator, Madam Mercy, our panelists, Ms. Biketi, Madam Pauline, and also our presenter, Dr. Bishop David Oginde. With a lot of applause for well-presented session. I've not witnessed a very active audience like you've been. I think this is an area that you needed a lot. I could see people taking notes, and I'm glad about that. So thank you. Thank you so much once again. Given an opportunity, as Bishop said, visit their office, visit their website, and a lot will be learned from that website. Before we break for lunch, it's almost 7 minutes past, but I take cognizance and appreciate, as I said earlier, we have a visiting delegation which is on a 10 days benchmarking tour in our country. And on behalf of that delegation, allow me to invite Dr. Berhanu Asfan, who is the Executive Director on Government Employees Competency, to come and in a very few minutes just to say a word of hello, and then I'll guide you where to proceed. Tumkaribishe kwa makofi mgeni wetu kutoka nchi jirani ya Ethiopia, aweze kusalimia. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much. I would like to say Hamujambo, hello. It was an honor and privilege to stand before you today as head of Ethiopian delegation from the Federal Civil Service Commission on this important occasion of African Public Service Day. On behalf of the people and government of Federal Republic of Ethiopia, I extend my warm greetings and express our sincere gratitude to the government of Kenya and the Ministry of Public Service and Human Capital Development for organizing this event, this significant gathering. We are proud to be here in Kenya, our second home country, Nairobi. We are very grateful for everything you do for us because we are here to benchmark some important aspects you go through in reform. So our presence here today is a testament to Ethiopia's commitment to unified and resilient African public service. We look forward to exchange ideas, sharing experience and learning from the success and innovations of our sisterly country, Kenya. We visited many institutions beginning from the day before yesterday. So we are getting an exciting and important insight from there. So we are here to learn more from you. And I also would like to take this opportunity to invite my colleagues, the officials from the Ministry of the Ministry officials, the Commission officials, the public service servants of the Republic of Kenya, and the key actors of different reform groups to take part in June, because June 21 to 25, we are going to celebrate African Public Service in Addis. So we are inviting to be part of that ceremony and take part to enjoy African Public Service Day in Addis. Thank you once again for this opportunity, and may our collaboration continue to grow in strength and spirit. So I would like to say thank you. Amasagnallo, Asanteni, Kwaheri. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daktari. I'm so proud that you've learned Swahili very fast. We've just sat with Daktari Berehanu here and I've trained him. Hamjambo, Kwaheri, Asanteni. See, I'm a good tutor. Clap for me. So thank you so much, that team. We don't take it for granted for counting us worth to come and benchmark with us. And you came the right time when we were also having our discussions. Thank you to the audience. You've made the panelists, the discussants, and the presenter feel warm when they see your presence. If the hall or the amphitheater was empty, they would be keeping some things for them. But now because you're seated here, it has made their day very successful. I'll request only one thing. HODs kindly. The HODs, do you have them with me? The HODs. I'll request if you can just drop down there so that you can have a photo with the delegation. So the Ethiopian delegation led by Daktari, you'll have a photo with our HODs as a symbol that you traveled, you found friends, and we don't take it for granted. With also the panelist, the discussant, and also our moderator. We'll be moving for our lunch, and it's 10 minutes past. I request that choir, mwalimu, you eat in SMS style, as in mchape ki haraka haraka. Then come back to warm for the afternoon session. We'll be back here 1:45, and I'm saying 1:45 so that you don't come at 2:30. The afternoon session is a very nice session for us, so be with us. The audience, as I've said, let me repeat once again. The moment you're seated like this, the facilitator, the moderator, and even myself as the master of ceremony, I feel so warm when I see you seated there. And I'm double sure it is not in vain. So I request the delegation to just nisaidiwe pale Ngige from the Executive Office of the President, tusaidiane pale tupange hiyo picha. we do a good photo with the delegation. If you need to make it a sitting photo, we can also do it. A few to sit, a few to flank at the back. We do it at the stairs. We sit.
Madam